Yeah, good afternoon all of you. Is it audible? So please ping in the chat if it is audible. Okay, thank you. So today I would like to discuss about advantages and disadvantages of cloud computing. Okay, advantages and disadvantages of cloud computing. Please wait once and switch on lights. Okay, today we will like to discuss about advantages and disadvantages of cloud computing. So before moving on to advantages and disadvantages of cloud computing, I would like to let you know about we have already discussed about different service models, and we have talked about like different deployment models in cloud computing. And yesterday we have also discussed about different characteristics of cloud computing. These three scenarios were discussed in the previous classes. So right now, today, we would like to discuss about the advantages and disadvantages of cloud computing. So what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages? So for any particular application, for any particular technology, we have some advantages and as well as we have some limitations. So we cannot say it is disadvantage, but it is like a limitation. So before going to talk about disadvantages, I would like to let you know about what are the different advantages of cloud computing. What are the advantages of cloud computing? Okay. So first thing is backup and restore. Backup and restore. So this is the first advantage. And the second advantage is pay per use model. Already we have discussed about this thing in the earlier class as a characteristic. Pay as you go model. Okay. So this is the second advantage. And the third advantage is security. So this is the third advantage. And the fourth advantage is collaborativity or collaboration. You can say that it is collaboration. And fifth advantage is scalability. Or otherwise, I can say, okay, scalability is also one of the advantage. And the last one is unlimited storage. This is a major advantage. Unlimited storage. So right now, I have written about the different types of advantages. What are the different advantages of cloud computing on this board? So what are those? First thing is backup and restore, and the second thing is pay per use model, that is pay as you go model, and the third one is security, and the fourth one is collaboration, and the next one is scalability, and the last one is unlimited storage. What are all these things? Why we need to discuss about this? Because we need to know about the advantage of cloud computing, right? So we have to differentiate the advantages of cloud computing on par with the on-premises environment. Okay, so that is the first thing we need to look at here. So the first advantage we have written here is that I'm just erasing it. Okay, the first advantage is backup and restore. What is this backup and restore? That means, see, every particular application which is running in the cloud, so automatically you can take backup. Automatically backups can be done. Okay, so you may get it out, sir. On-premises environment also, we can take the backup. No, why we need to make it as an advantage for cloud computing? Of course, we can take the on-premises environment backups manually and as well as automatically. So whenever you are taking manually and automatically on-premises environment, it will be stored in a hard drives, or maybe in the network storage. The backup will be stored in hard drives or in the network storage in your on-premises environment. Are you getting my point now?
What is
What is
on premises?
Hello, Kavya, what is your doubt?
What is meant by on premises, sir?
Yeah, on-premises environment means your physical location. Your physical location. Physical location in the sense your network infrastructure, where your network infrastructure is configured for your corresponding application. For example, if you want to build an application in your environment in the sense, for example, take your college. Okay, so if you want to build some application in your system which needs to be stored or deployed in a physical server, physical server, where we need to save it or where we need to deploy this application in the physical server. Either you need to deploy your application in your laptop, or maybe if you want to render the service of this application to all the people in your organization, means you need to deploy this application in the server room, which is there in the C block, right? So this is called on-premises environment. But what we will be doing with the cloud is, your entire data will be stored in the virtualized storage. It is not a physical storage. Got my point? Is your doubt is clear, Kavya?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So shall I move on?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now in the on-premises environment, so if suppose if you want to take some backup for your application, what you need to do? You can just create auto backup. That is possible. Or you can take the manual backup also. This is also possible. Both are possible in the on-premises environment also. But the problem with this on-premises environment is it is only having some limited storage capacity. It is having limited storage capacity. And the second thing is you cannot store the data at multiple positions or at multiple locations. Are you getting the point or not? You are just taking the backup in the on-premises environment at a particular server. And moreover, you are saving the entire backup in a particular hard disk. Got my point? So it will be having only the limited storage capacity. Regarding my point or not? Your hard disk will be maximum of 5 terabytes or maybe 10 terabytes. Rather than that, your hard disk cannot be scalable. Okay, so that is the disadvantage with your backup. Getting my point or not? So because you are having limited storage capacity. And one more thing is, you are just saving the backup at a single location in your server. In a single location, you are saving your data in a particular server. But whenever any disaster happens, if maybe any flood comes, or maybe if any rains comes, if any droughts comes, automatically suppose if the server vanished off, then your entire backup goes away. So that is the main disadvantage of on-premises environment for your backup and restore. But whereas when you are moved to the cloud environment, you are not storing this entire backup in hard drives or network storage. It is not that. Okay. In the on-premises environment, what you are doing is that you are just storing the data in a HDD disk, that is hard disk drive or SAN, storage area network. Okay. Hard drives or storage area network will store that stuff. But whereas when you are going for cloud, it is not like that. And then your orbit can be done. So in cloud environment, whenever you want to save some data, if you want to save data, or if you want to build some application, or if you want to develop any kind of application, or if you want to deploy any application in cloud, first thing is you need to have a virtual machine. Got my point or not? You need to have a virtual machine in the cloud. It should be. Without virtual machine, we cannot save our data in a particular storage device in the cloud. Or if you want to build some application, that is also not possible because virtual machine will work like a computer, typical computer. In on-premises environment, your laptop will work, on your laptop your application will be deployed. In cloud environment, on the virtual machine your application will be deployed. Getting my point or not? Okay, on the virtual machine your application will be deployed. Now the point is, so whenever an application is deployed on a virtual machine, how you can take this backup? Are there any possibilities to take the automatic backup, or are there any possibilities to take the manual backup? Both the options are available. Both the options are available, because whenever we have created, we should not say that it is created. Rather than that, we have to say that it is a launching of a virtual machine. Got that point? We need to launch a virtual machine in the cloud environment, because the nomenclature is different from the on-premises environment. We have to launch a virtual machine in a particular cloud environment. On top of it, we are launching an application, or we are deploying an application. So whenever we are deploying it, so it will be asking you typically whether to take the backup automatically, or you can take the backup manually. It will be asking you the options. That the backup should be taken automatically or manually. So you need to just give the option. Rather than that, you don't need to do anything. You just need to give the option in the template whenever you are launching a virtual machine in the cloud environment. So whenever you have given this option, automatically or manually, it will be taking the backups. So those backup copies are called as snapshots. Getting my point or not? These are called as snapshots. Okay. So whenever you have done something, you have done some computation like a plus b is equal to c on this virtual machine, automatically this a plus b is equal to c computation was stored at the backup by using some snapshots, automatic snapshots. Or if you are taking the backup manually, after all your computations at the end of the day, you just click that snapshot option to take the manual backup. That is also possible. So you may ask me the doubt, sir, in the on-premises environment, you are saying that automatic option is there and manual option is there for the backup. But whereas when you are going for the cloud, it is also there for automatic and manual backup. What is the difference between them? Then what is the advantage of it? The advantage is that you have an unlimited storage capacity. Because it is not a physical storage. Rather than that, we are saying that it is a virtual storage. It is a virtual storage, so that we can have unlimited storage in our cloud environment based on your service level agreement made between your cloud user and cloud provider. Kavya, do you have any doubt about SLA?
Sir, it is anywhere physical storage only, sir, at data centers.
What is that?
Sir, saying virtual storage, no, sir.
Yeah, I am saying virtual storage.
It is anywhere physical storage at data centers, no, sir.
Yes, of course. Physical data storage is needed, but the thing is that on top of this physical host, we have a hypervisor. So that means we want to reduce the number of physical systems. Anyway, data center will be there. On top of the data center, we have some hypervisors. This hypervisor will enable us to create the virtual environment.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So in that virtual environment, we will create a number of virtual machines. Okay, Kavya?
Yes, sir.
So do you know about SLA, Kavya?
Sir, can you tell the full form of it, sir?
Do you know about SLA?
No, sir.
Okay. SLA means service level agreement. Okay. Service level agreement. Because here there are two users, cloud user and as well as cloud vendor, that is your provider, who will provide the cloud services. Okay. Cloud user in the sense who wants to access the cloud services. Getting my point? So the cloud
Yes, sir.
So now this SLA means service level agreement. Service level agreement. What is the service level agreement? That means so whenever you want to access some services on the cloud provider side, from the cloud user side, so what you need to do? You need to have an agreement. So because cloud is a motion, it will have many number of services. So if you want some compute service in Amazon, you can use EC2. Elastic Compute Machine. I will tell you what are all these things. And if you want storage service, I can use S3, Amazon S3 as a service in cloud, AWS. And if you want to use some serverless computation machine, you have Lambda service that is possible in AWS. So if you want to access all these services, you need to subscribe for it. You need to subscribe for it. So like whenever you are accessing Hotstar, you are paying for it, right? Am I right or wrong? You are just subscribing it. Like that only. Here also you need to subscribe all these services. Who wants to access those services in the corresponding cloud matter. So that agreement is called as service level agreement. What are the services required for you? Those services can be used by cloud user, and for that particular cloud services, for how much amount of time you are using, you need to pay the bill. That agreement is called as service level agreement. That agreement is called as service level agreement. Is your doubt is clear, Kavya?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear or not?
Clear, sir.
Okay. So now we have unlimited storage in the cloud. Okay. So that is about virtual storage. You can increase any number of virtual machines on the demand. On demand, you can increase any number of virtual machines, and you can also increase the storage capacity. That is possible in the cloud, but it is not possible in the on-premises environment. So that is why backup and restore is a disadvantage in on-premises environment rather than the cloud environment. Okay, and one more beautiful option is there here called multi-tenant, multi-tenancy. What is tenancy? Can anybody tell me? What is a tenant? Can anybody? Are you guys sleeping? Huh? Multi-tenancy. Multi-tenancy in the sense, so whenever you are launching a virtual machine that is called as VM in cloud, it will be asking you whether to launch this VM in a single region or multiple regions. What option you choose? Single region or multiple regions? It will be asking you. So what option you will choose? Can anybody respond? What option you can choose? Typically what we will do? We won't choose for a single option. Why? Because if suppose as if I can launch my VM in two regions, if I can launch my VM in two regions, what happens is, if suppose if any disaster happens and if one VM goes down, VM1 and VM2, if one VM goes down, what happens? Automatically VM2 will be automatically launched and it will spin up and it will act as the primary VM, because we have kept it as a backup VM. We have kept it as a backup VM. So that is why we are launching our VMs in multiple positions or multiple regions. So that is why this feature is called as multi-tenancy feature. Multi-tenancy feature. Please make a note of it. Multi-tenancy feature. Okay. So that is the first advantage of cloud computing. Backup and restore. And the second point is pay-per-use model. Pay-per-use model. So what is this pay-per-use? Can anybody tell me what is pay-per-use? Pay-per-use means, for example, you have a room like this. You have a room like this. In this room, I have a fridge. That is a refrigerator. Okay. I have some fan. Okay. And I have a AC here. And I have a bed here. Okay. And for refreshment, I have a toilet here. So consider this as a cloud. Consider this as a cloud environment. So if suppose if this room is owned by you, that means this room is yours. Okay, this room is yours. So for example, if I am the owner of this room, all these facilities were mine. All these facilities were my responsibility, and as well as it is of my own. I can use and I may not use. Okay, but still it is my own room. Okay, so consider on-premises environment. That means your laptop. Your laptop is having i7 processor, and your laptop is having a 50 terabyte hard disk, and your laptop is having like 5 GB, 10 GB RAM or 60 GB RAM, for example. Okay, you have purchased this laptop. My point here is that you are a BTech third year student, but you don't need to have i7 processor, but you are not running that much huge applications in your laptop. It is a waste of use. i7 processor. I cannot have the data 50 terabytes. I may just use only 5 GB data, and I don't have any applications which were running with 16 GB RAM applications. Okay, so that means it is a waste of use. But you need to typically use the optimized configuration laptop. Okay, what I want to say is all the resources are being wasted whenever you are using a particular on-premises environment configured infrastructure. Okay, but in the cloud it is not like that. Whatever you want to use, you just use it. You just need to pay for what you use. That is called as pay per use model. So here, consider this as a cloud environment, and whenever I have rented a room, I am a tenant in this room. Okay, I am a tenant in this room. So I want to use AC. You just need to pay for only AC. I just want to use for fan. You need to use this fan, and you need to pay for the fan. I don't want to use this fridge or the refrigerator. You don't need to pay for fridge, but I want to use the bed. Yes, you just need to pay for only the bed. And I want to use the toilet. Yes, you just need to use this toilet for your particular application, for your particular purpose, not application. Okay. So, like this, in the cloud environment, you have different number of services. For example, if you can look at AWS, the popular cloud vendor. If you can take AWS, that is Amazon Web Services, the popular cloud vendor, it is having machine learning services. That means, what is machine learning service? On top of this machine learning services, on top of this cloud platform, I can run machine learning applications. That is possible. And for example, I want to do some analysis, that is data analytics. Yes, data analytics services are also available. Data analytics services are also available. I just want to use some platform to develop my own application. That is also possible as a service. Okay, and I can use IoT services to develop my own application on top of the cloud platform. So why we need to use this? These are all available in on-premises environment. Why we need to go for this? Simple thing is that you don't need to manage the infrastructure. You don't need to manage the infrastructure. So the cloud vendor will manage the infrastructure rather than you. That is an advantage. You don't need to take the burden for managing all these infrastructures and managing all the softwares and managing the configurations of your particular CPUs, virtual machines, and all these things. All those things will be taken care of through that particular cloud vendor. So that is a big advantage. You just need to concentrate on your corresponding application, what you will use or what you want to develop. Okay, so that is the better advantage of the cloud. Got my point? So now, in this particular cloud vendor, so I have ML services, so I can just use ML applications. Like I have a TensorFlow application, so or I can use some darknet architecture. A lot of things are there. So I can use these particular services to develop my ML applications. So I just need to pay for only these particular services, not for all these things. Getting the point? So this is the way we can use this cloud as a pay-per-use model. Got my point? So this is about pay-per-use model. This is the second advantage. And the third biggest advantage is that security. Security, I can say it is like data security. I can say it like this. Data security. What is this data security? So you may think that, sir, our data in our on-premises environment is safe because our data is stored in our devices. But you are saying that security is there for the cloud. You are saying that security is there for cloud environment, and that too data security you are saying. Our data is in our outsourced management. What is outsourced management? Because your data will be saved at Google. This is also cloud vendor. Your data may be saved at AWS, Amazon Web Services. Your data may be saved at Microsoft. Right now we are interacting with the Microsoft Teams, which is also running on cloud. Okay, so whatever the classes we are interacting with you, or we are explaining it to you, all those things are recorded and all those things are saved in OneDrive. That is also an application or the service SaaS, which is running on, not SaaS, sorry, infrastructure as a service, IaaS, which is running at Microsoft Azure Cloud. Okay, so security, how that much of security is there in this particular cloud? You may ask this question. Yes, of course, we have security because we are running with 256-bit encryption models. Every particular cloud vendor is running 256-bit encryption models, encryption algorithms. What is encryption? Anybody can tell me? Kavya, can you tell me what is encryption?
It's converting the original data to some form
What is the
unrecognized
original data? What it is called as?
cipher.
Like plain text. Okay. So whatever the data, for example, A, B, C, D is the data. This data has to be converted into some format, encrypted format. That is called as cipher text. Okay. So now, what I want to say is that in cloud environment we have some 256-bit encryption algorithms. So 256-bit encrypted algorithm means, so whenever you have a 256-bit encryption algorithm, you need to perform 256 XOR operations. 256 XOR operations to convert your plain text to the safe text. So now, is it possible for a hacker? Is it possible for a hacker to decrypt this 256 XOR operations in a span of seconds? Is it possible? No, it is not possible. No, it is not possible because to break these 256 XOR operations, and more of that, in cloud, every particular application which is running in the cloud, they are end-to-end encrypted. End-to-end encrypted. So what is this end-to-end encryption? Can anybody? End-to-end encrypted. What is it? What is the end-to-end encryption? That means if you have a source like this and if you have a destination here, this fellow wants to transmit some data to this, this wants to interact with this. Okay, so A and B is having their own private keys. A and B are having their own private private keys. Okay, so whatever the data you transmit, you just transmit with some public key. That public key will be known to each other. Okay, but whenever you are transmitting some information with some public key to B, whenever this public key is made known to hacker, he can't do anything because you have your own private key. Without the private key, the lock won't be opened. The lock won't be opened means the ciphertext won't be decrypted to the plain text. That means this guy have the private key and this guy also is having the private key. Okay, and moreover that I am saying that it is 256-bit encryption key. Okay, so how this 256-bit encryption key will be generated? It will be generated on automatic basis. So with a random generator. So is it possible to decrypt that key? It is not possible to decrypt that key with that easy way. Okay, so that is why in cloud security is pretty good and compared to the on-premises environment. And moreover that we have another feature called collaboration advantage. Collaboration. So consider our Google Sheets. Google Sheets is kind of SaaS application. What is a SaaS? Software as a service. Okay. So if you want to share some information and if you want to share the data, you can collaborate with Google Sheet to your corresponding colleagues or corresponding friends. So automatically the data can be easily collaborated with others. Getting that point? So, and moreover that, the best example is your Google Forms. What we are trying to do, we are just giving some form and asking to fill up that form easily from the remote place, rather than by typing all your particular documents in Microsoft Word or maybe in other formats. Okay, you are just what you are doing, you are just simply filling that form and from your end, and we are just able to download all the information what you have filled in that form. So collaborating we are doing. So sharing of information is very much easy whenever you are going for the cloud. Not only for this particular application. For example, I am doing maybe I am developing an app. Okay. So for example, assume that you are in a corporate company. And your team leader is sitting in Canada. Okay. Your team lead is sitting in Canada, and you people, that means your team lead and you people, and have to work together and develop an API module for your project. So how it can be done? Because he is sitting in Canada with a different time zone, and you are sitting in India with a different time zone. So how you can collaborate without having the same platform? So that is possible only through collaboration mechanism through cloud. Okay, so you can use your Google Drive for your some, and every particular company have their own cloud platforms, and maybe they can use third-party platforms also for collaborating something and for collaboration of developing, for collaboration of sharing the information, and for collaboration of the infrastructure also. That is possible. Okay, so that is about collaboration, the next advantage, and the beautiful advantage is scalability. Already I have told you a lot of times. Scalability means just you can scale up your resources. So can anybody tell me what are the resources that are available in the cloud? What are the different resources that are available in the cloud? Can anybody? Kavya?
Like hardware.
You have computer resources, right? And you have storage resources, and you have network resources. So there are many kind of resources available. Okay, so I can increase my resources on demandly. It is possible. So that can be done only through scalability. And you can also scale down your resources. Scale down in the sense, for example, today I want only 100 GB hard disk. Okay, tomorrow I need to use only 50 GB. Just scale down my already have told you in the earlier class about horizontal scaling and vertical scaling. Can anybody tell me about that? Can anybody tell me what is the difference between horizontal scaling and vertical scaling?
In horizontal scaling, the storage capacity will be increased, and in vertical scaling, the computational power will.
Horizontal scaling is
Storage capacity will be increased, sir.
Saranya.
The resource capacity will be increased, sir, in horizontal scaling, whereas in vertical scaling, the computational power will be increased, sir.
See, but here I will tell you, mute yourself. Vertical scaling means, that means if you are vertically increasing your resource means you are increasing your compute resources. You are increasing your compute resources. Computation capacity will be increased. For example, if you are increasing horizontally, that means horizontally, if you are increasing horizontally, so that means you are increasing your storage needs. Storage capacity will be increased. Okay? The difference between horizontal scaling and vertical scaling is vertical scaling is concerned of increasing compute resources. Horizontal scaling is you are keep on increasing storage resources. Getting my point? So this is the difference between horizontal and as well as vertical scaling. Okay? And then the last advantage is unlimited storage. Unlimited storage. As I already have told you, cloud is typically it is having a virtual storage. So I can increase my resources on demandly to an extent unless and until the data center filled up. Because I think you know about data centers, how much space will be. And I want to show you the video in the YouTube. I will share it to you in the Google Classroom. So you can watch that video, how the Facebook and Google data centers will work and how much data is generated every day and how they are doing the virtualization and all those things. So I will share it to you in the Google Classroom whenever it is needed. So virtual storage can be increased on demanding. It is possible. So that we can have the unlimited storage capacity because we don't need to process the physical storage location. Okay, so we just need to increase your storage capacity whenever you need it, or you can decrease it. That is also possible. So unlimited storage capacity is available in the cloud. That is an advantage. So these are all the advantages of cloud computing. But there are some disadvantages. There are some disadvantages. Please wait once. Okay, there are some disadvantages. First one is internet connectivity. First one is internet connectivity. So this is the first disadvantage. And the second disadvantage is vendor lock-in. Vendor lock-in. That is the second disadvantage. And the third disadvantage is limited control. These are the main disadvantages when you are using cloud. Okay? So internet connectivity. Without having internet connectivity for your particular cloud console or cloud application, you cannot access the cloud resources. That is a major disadvantage. But right now, in these days, in this era, it is not a disadvantage because everybody is having internet with your particular mobile or maybe with your laptop. For any particular application, you are just using internet, right? So this is not a disadvantage right now, but it is a limitation. It will be a limitation. Got my point? So internet connectivity is a major issue because, for example, if you want to connect to any cloud application, you need to have the network. That is, internet is needed for the order of the day. So that internet connectivity may be a limitation. And vendor lock-in. Can anybody tell me what is vendor lock-in? Can anybody tell me what is vendor lock-in? Anybody? See, vendor lock-in in the sense, for example, you have an application developed at AWS Cloud Platform. Okay, so now this application wants to be migrated to another cloud platform because in Google Cloud I am getting the services cheaper maybe. So that is why I want to migrate this my application to AWS to Google Cloud for now. So now whenever I am migrating all these things, the dependencies in the sense, the formats, the configuration checks, all those things will be changing. So that is the major drawback. That is a major limitation for cloud applications. Of course, right now in this particular era, everybody, either it is AWS, Google, or Microsoft, or they are supporting all the type of platforms, so that this is not a major drawback right now in this era. But it is a problem in the earlier stages. Whenever the cloud was analyzed in 2007 or 8, then it may be a little bit problem. But now, right now everybody will be going through open source, so that it is not a major drawback. So vendor lock-in is the second problem. And the third one is limited control. What is this limited control? You are giving everything to the outsourced management. Am I right or wrong? Outsourced management. For example, if I want to develop an application in my laptop, what I will do? I will install my software, I will install my server, and I will install my web server. On top of it, I will install my deployed application, what I have developed. Like that I will do. But whereas in cloud, everything will be given to you as a service. So if you want a web server, it will be given to you as a service. If you want some ID, that is like Eclipse or anything, so that is can also be given to you as a service, but it is not of your own. You are just using it. So that means you have a limited control over it. And moreover that, you are saving your data in the third-party environment. So it may be you doesn't have that much of control over it, but you are accessing for that, but you doesn't have that much of control for the data and for your application because it is in the hands of others. So that is, these are the three minor limitations for cloud computing. Okay, so these are the major advantages and disadvantages of cloud computing. And tomorrow we'll discuss about what are the different applications where your cloud computing can be applied. What are the different areas where your cloud computing can be applied, like healthcare industry, education industry, government organizations, transportation industry, whatnot. Every particular industry is using cloud computing right now for their corresponding usages. So we'll discuss about the applications of cloud computing tomorrow, and more on that we can also discuss about some of the different cloud services applications from different vendors. Those things can be discussed tomorrow. Okay, thank you guys. So